Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and yes, I'm using the Frost Form hack. This is going to be the 6-inch square Frost Form kit, and I did buy it with my own money. So let's unbox this Frost Form kit. So what comes in this kit is the crumb coat cutter, the manual, the liner base, former base, and the cake liner. This kit and the kit that I got from Amazon came with different accessories, so I was a little confused why this one was missing some pieces, but that's okay. I just used what I had from the other one. So I'm starting off with my first layer of cake, and this is going to be a chocolate cake. Now, I was in the freezer, so it was a little bit hard to cut out using the cutter. But I'm going to do that for each layer, and I used 2 chocolate layers and 2 vanilla layers. And yeah, I'm struggling here because, like I said, it was a little frozen. Now, I will tell you later on why I chose to keep my cake layers frozen. It just was a little bit easier. And the vanilla cake was not as frozen, so it came out seamlessly. After we're done cutting out the cakes, now it's time to assemble the first piece of the frost form, and that is the base and the liner. This time I did watch plenty of videos and I did read the instructions to know how to put this together. The difference between the circle frost form kit and the square frost form kit is the square kit, you are assembling the cake outside of the form. And this is just going to take a little bit more time because you have to crumb coat it and assemble it before you put it in the base. Between each cake layer, I'm going to add some caramel filling. This cake was for my husband's birthday, so he wanted a chocolate vanilla caramel cake. I did decide to use Ghirardelli caramel sauce, and I literally just heated it up on the stove. Now, I was 6 months pregnant here, so I did not have time to mess with making caramel. It is a tedious process. So I'm going to do this for each cake layer, and then I'm going to alternate between vanilla and chocolate cake layers. At this point, this is where I started to regret using the filling because it was oozing out on the sides. The filling definitely made the process of using this frost form a little bit harder, and that's just because the filling was coming out on the sides. But nonetheless, I'm going to continue to use the frost form because I do like the crisp edges that come out of using it. This cake is pretty tall, so I wanted to make sure that it was going to fit in the liner, and it definitely does. So I would say one of the cons of the frost form is the price. It is pretty pricey. Another con is the fact that I feel like it was a little bit too small compared to the width of the cake. The pros of the frost form, it does create a sharp edge square cake, so I definitely like that. Another pro is it makes frosting the cake easier and it cuts down the time. So this is my least favorite part of the whole process, and it's crumb coating. And it's difficult to crumb coat because it is very crummy because I cut it out. Now that is why I kept my cakes frozen, because I was trying to eliminate some of those crumbs, but it is still super crummy at this point. When it comes to the frost form, this crumb coat is essential. You have to do it. You can't skip it. And as I was crumb coating, the caramel was coming out completely. So I'm going to end up putting it in the refrigerator so that it can harden so I can continue the process. Now I'm attempting to smoothen it out just a little bit, just enough for me to put it in the refrigerator to set and then use the frost form. So now it's time to use the frost form. So in order to use the frost form, you do need a tall object, preferably a cup. Then put the base over it and then put the cake on top of the cup. Don't drop it like I almost did. Then fit the liner around the cake inside of the base. It was kind of tricky to fit the liner inside of the base. It seemed really snug. Once the liner is inside the base, you should be able to just lift the base up and then the cake will be inside of the base, ready to fill it with the buttercream. Now I already prepared my buttercream. You don't have to use buttercream inside of the base. You can use ganache. I probably will use ganache next time I use this base. I do feel like, I don't know if it was my cake was too big or if the frost form is too small. I don't feel like I had enough space to put my buttercream in each of the corners of the form. For this particular frost form kit, I would suggest using ganache just because it's a little bit more runny. I wasn't able to make my buttercream runny enough to go inside of the frost form. My buttercream was just starting to separate, but I did want to use buttercream for this cake instead of ganache because ganache is just chocolate. So I'm filling it to the best of my abilities, then I'm covering up the top. And to get it to go all the way to the bottom, I'm just going to pat it onto the counter. Then I put it in the freezer and it's time to take it out of the frost form. To take it out the frost form, you just have to do the reverse of what you did before. Put it on top of the cylinder, take the base down, and then you should be able to take the liner right on off. Once you get the hang of it, it's honestly really easy to use. What makes the process hard is the buttercream. So here you can see that it didn't come out perfectly. There are some holes in the buttercream because my buttercream wasn't runny enough, but that's okay. I'm just going to fill it in with some buttercream. Ultimately, I still like the way it turned out just because it is still crisp edges, and I would not have been able to get it this crisp if I had to frost it by hand. So I'm just going to smoothen it all out where I filled in the buttercream. You're probably thinking, oh, another cake fail. No, this actually turned out pretty well to me. Like I said, the frost form acted as a blueprint for this square cake. If you know, you know, square cakes are hard to do. It's not like round cakes because of the sharp edges. And I believe that the frost form helped to get those sharp edges. So once I'm satisfied with the coverage, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the freezer to set. Once it's out the freezer, it's time to decorate. The final step in the frost form process is to put the cake upside down and take that base off. Do not forget to take that base liner off. And you can just use a knife to take it apart from the bottom of the cake. And also don't forget to take the liner off as well. Then I'm going to put buttercream on the bottom of the cake so that I can attach the cake board and then flip the cake over. So the frost form definitely is trial and error. I definitely liked it because I wouldn't have gotten these crisp edges without it. Now it is time to decorate, and I'm just going to use these spears to decorate the cake. The color scheme for this cake was white, black, and gold. So that is the color spears I'm using and decorations I'm going to add to the cake. So I'm just adding a combination of big spears, small spears, and even smaller spears. And then I'm going to add more spears to the top edge of the cake. Then I'm going to attach this square happy birthday sign onto the cake. Off camera, I did add some gold edible foil to the cake, and then I added a 32 candle. And that's it. This cake is finished. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.